Now here we've made some variables. Started with some initial random values, and then we're using those variables, updating them, and using them to move an object around. Right. Now, processing has some built-in variables. Let's say I wanted to put something right here on the screen. What's a quick way to know where right here is? Well, I can use a variable that's built in called mouse x. Okay, and then I'm going to put mouse y, M-O-U-S-E, Mickey, there. Now, and you can see the object moves around where my mouse is. See? What's useful about that, also I could, let's say, if I take the background out, then I get this nifty kind of drawing program. Woo! And then you can change the colors and draw with dots or whatever you want, really. Put that back in there for now. See, we're moving with the mouse. So instead of using the mouse for that, I can get the information. So I'll show you a way to do that. I'm going to print some text up here that shows me what my mouse coordinates are. So text works like this. I can say text, and then inside the parentheses there, let me double click, and it brings up an explanation, is you put whatever message you want it to say, okay, and then you tell it where on the screen to draw it, the X and Y values. And then optionally, you can give it a width and a height, which makes a box, okay, and so that's what the little asterisks mean, that these values are optional. So let's say my message was hello, right? But you don't do it like that. You're going to put it inside quotations, which tells the computer that that is a string of text that you're sending, and then comma, and then I'm going to say where on the screen. I'm just going to say 100, comma 100, and there it automatically puts some text in. Now note that it makes the text at the default white as color there. So if your background happens to also be white and you put some text in there, you'll be like, where's my text? I don't see it, because the text color is different color from the background. So in which case you're going to want to add a fill color to your text. They're defaulted at red, but of course I can make the fill any color I want. you know. Also to note here, it's red, green, and blue colors, but if I put just any value from 0 to 255, I get a grayscale value. See, there's 100, there 200 is much lighter, and say 2 is very dark, 0 would be completely black, 240 is so light you barely see it. I could see it when the ball went underneath it. Okay, undo, 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 undo. So you can change your colors of your text like that. Okay, it's a little on the small side too, so you could bring the size of the text up. The way you do that is say text size, and okay, size, and then inside the parentheses, you say give it a value. Now the default would be 12. Which is pretty small font, So I can say if I made it 18, it gets a little bigger, or 24, there. Okay, now I can see it a little more clearly. Go back to 18. That's pretty good. Okay, so besides just printing text out, so I could print out a value of a variable. Like for instance, there's my speed y. I could just print that in there. Okay, in which case I'm not going to need the quotations. I could just put a value in there. See, it'll tell me the value of this variable. My x value is being updated. If I put that in there, you can see what your x value is, on the screen. So if I want to print out my x mouse value instead, of course, mouse x, x, and then it'll tell me where my x value is on the screen. See, and then I can copy this line of text here, copy, and then add another line, right click and paste, or control V, right? Now it's on the one right over the other, so I can move it down a little bit. There, another line. Now both are displaying the same variable. I'll just change this to my mouse Y, and there it shows me. And as we know, if I move left and right, my X value here decreases or increases. See? And if I move it up and down, then this value here, my Y value, gets bigger as I go down all the way up to 0. You see, so that's a nifty feature to if I want to draw something, if you want to know right where to put something real quick, you can access your mouse value. Okay, so I want to make it so I can tell when I'm touching this thingy over here. Okay, and then maybe it'll jump somewhere else and give me a point. So I could print my score up on the screen. So let's say I could, here inside some quotations, I could just say score, like that, and then, maybe put it up at 2020, up there at the top of the screen, put a little colon afterwards, and then behind that, some people might just move this, up there and try and position it there, but you don't necessarily have to do it that way. Instead, on the same line in here, I could say I want to print this text and also plus this variable. I'm stick that variable in there. There, score 71. Now I don't need this line of code any longer. I've kind of combined them. You can see that the score is kind of butt up against the colon that I made in there, so I can just add a space there, and there'll be my score value. Of course, it's displaying my mouse value instead of an actual score. So to have a score there, I can just declare a variable for my score, like that, and it's equals 0, of course, at the beginning. There we go. I've initialized my score, and then I'll copy this variable, Control C or copy, and then and instead of displaying my mouse Y, I'll just paste the score variable there. So now my score is 0, right? I'm going to just turn this ball update off for a second by no, you see it's only moving in the Y because only the Y is updating. If I turned off this one, it would only update in the X, you see. So there, just going to kind of turn them both off for a second, restart, there. Now, I want to make it so, whenever this touches this, that it'll jump somewhere randomly on the screen and add a point to the score, okay? So, that sounds like an if statement, if this is here. Okay, so one way to do that is we know how to get the mouse X and Y variables, right? And we have our ball X and our ball Y variable. All we need to know is how close it is when it from center when it touches, basically, So now there's some complicated math to do that, but fortunately there's a built-in feature too that will give us the distance between any 2 points here, and that is called distance, like this, dist, and then inside the parentheses you're going to pass it some values, and it will return a value. So basically, I can say if the distance between, so if the distance between the mouse X and mouse Y, mouse X and mouse Y, and the other position variable would be the position of our ball, so ball x and ball y, mouse x, mouse y, ball x, comma, ball y. If the distance, so is less than, and this is 20 in width, our ball, so the distance from the center would be 10. Okay, so if it's less than 10, do whatever's in the bracket. And what is in the bracket is to put this to a random position. So no, we're going to do more than one thing this time. Okay, so this time I'm going to put what's inside the, I hit enter one time and it automatically made double spaced it down my double bracket, my curly bracket all the way down to here, and indented the code nicely for me, very handy. And inside there I can tell it what I want it to do, which is to randomize the values of my ball again, right? So I can just take this bit of code. I'm not going to say var equals ball x inside the draw function again. No, I've already declared the variable, so I can just reassign a new random value to the ball here. So now if the distance is less than 10, set it to a new x, see? And if the distance is less than 10, set it to a new y. So now whenever I touch it, it gets bashful on me and jumps somewhere else. And then we also, inside there, want to tell it to take the score variable, right, and increment it by 1. I could say score equals score plus 1, but since I'm only bumping the score by 1, I can just say score plus plus there. So now watch, when I touch it, it bumps the score up by 1 and sets the object to a new position on the screen. That is collision, a simple way to do collision between two round objects, or, or 2 points. Okay.